Hello and welcome to the Next Gen Racing YouTube channel for our weekend preview. We've got Newbury and Warwick to look forward to this weekend. We'll also be covering, I'll be covering a little bit of Meydan as well, which comes to you tomorrow. So it's going to be a good weekend. I mean, we've obviously just had the Dublin Racing Festival. I'm sure Jack and I will briefly talk about that in a second. Unfortunately, like I say, we didn't get a video to you. We do apologise for that. A few technical issues last weekend, but it was a weekend of short price favourites, Jack, and the thing is, a lot of them were beaten.
Yeah, it was a cracking weekend, wasn't it? As a pointer towards the Cheltenham Festival in its own right. I mean, the Dublin Racing Festival ticked so many boxes. Of course, this week you're going to be having your Meydan stuck in there as well. But no, the Dublin Racing Festival, it's opened up so many different pictures and markets. And yeah, I mean, all systems go towards Cheltenham now.
It is, and I'll just quickly get a performance from you for the weekend. What was the standout for you moving forward potentially to Cheltenham?
Oh, it's got to be Ilete Tom. I mean, the way he stretched clear over those 2 miles, I thought was really impressive. I probably think he's still a point or two too big in the Supreme market, to be honest.
Okay, that's it, Tom. I was really impressed with Al Fabiolo in the Irish Arkle. I think he's going to be a big challenge to John Bond. We'll probably dissect the Dublin Race Festival a little bit more next week when we do our anti-post preview, looking at a few races and a few angles moving forward to the big races. But talking about horses who could challenge John Bond, we're going to be talking about John Bond to kick off this preview in the 240 at Warwick. We have the 2-mile Virgin Bet Kingmaker Novices Chase, a Grade 2 event there. And John Bond currently is your 3-10 favourite. Haddix de Zobo is 9-2. Tommy's Oscar 5-1. Boss Rock is 20-1. And Calico is 50-1. We might not need to spend too much time on this, Jack, but John Bond, he's the exciting horse. A lot of people probably think after watching that Irish Arkle that he is now the one to beat. I don't think John Bond would have been too worried about what he had seen. What's your thoughts on him here and also his kind of aspiration of going on to the Arkle?
I'm looking forward to see. I'm glad Haddix de Zobo has been declared because I'm looking forward to see Haddix de Zobo go from the front and John Bond having to sit in because that's something we haven't seen yet. It may test his jumping a little bit more. We saw El Fabiolo got a few wrong with Dysart Dynamo and the pace that he set, but hopefully Haddix de Zobo will be able to stretch out John Bond, get his jumping tested a little bit more. We haven't seen him make a mistake as of yet, so it'd be interesting to see if this does test him anymore. Look, he should clearly win this. I mean, he's 3-10, won't be having a bet. Intriguingly, towards the Irish Arkle, it was a very, very good performance from El Fabiolo. I mean, his jumping, I know there's people on different sides of the fence, pardon the pun, that his jumping perhaps wasn't that great, and that was a benefit because we know how he can correct himself under the pace. But, I mean, at the prices now, I'd probably back Dysart Dynamo ahead of El Fabiolo. Funnily enough, I thought Dysart Dynamo jumped beautifully. Of course, went off too fast. We knew he was going to go off like the clappers. But I mean, over a furlong shorter with those undulations as well, I think he's going to be travelling a long way in the Arkle. And I think him drifting out to about 8-1, and probably if I was going to back him or El Fabiolo at this moment in time, I'd probably actually back Dysart Dynamo for the Arkle.
Okay, quick question then with regards to the Arkle. John Bond, does he win it? Does he not?
Yeah, I think he does.
Okay, yeah, no, I'd probably have to agree now after watching that race, but I was impressed with Al Fabiolo. Haddix de Zobo, like you say, he's a really interesting runner in here. I think John Bond is obviously the one to beat, 3-10 favourite. You'd love to see him go and win this, but it wouldn't be one for me that I'd be whacking in doubles and trebles this weekend. I mean, I'd just be a little bit concerned with Haddix de Zobo. I don't think he's up to the class of John Bond, but it wouldn't surprise me if he gave John Bond a little bit of a scare, Jack.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm just looking forward to see John Bond hopefully off the bridle, and hopefully Haddix de Zobo will be able to do that.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, John Bond in the Kingmaker Novices Chase at Warwick. Let's head over to Newbury where we cover 3 races here. And we start off with the 225, which is the 3-mile Betfair Denman Chase, a Grade 2 event. And Hitman is the 7-4 favourite here. Eldorado Allen, 11-4. Fanion Destraval is 5-1. Does he know? 7-1. I Will Do It is 10-1 along with Sam Brown, and 16-1 and bigger about the other 3. Hitman is a horse that I've always loved, Jack, and we've always known that, but he was very disappointing in the King George at Christmas time. Do you think it's just maybe that he's a little bit shy of that level at this stage?
Yeah, perhaps. I said to you beforehand, I don't think he's a 3-miler, and I still probably stand by that. I'm not too sure this really rattling fast ground is going to suit him. I think he's still better at over 2.5, 2.5. And Eldorado Allen, I think he's just going to be there and thereabouts, knocking on the door in these big Grade 1 contests. But I think this is probably more his level. Again, it's quite an interesting betting heat. I wouldn't be having a bet. Again, if I was going to stick my neck out for one of them, probably it'd be Does He Know? A bigger price at about 7-1. I mean, I think winning over 3 mile 3 off 12 stone at Cheltenham's no mean feat on quick ground, getting the better of Evers Oscar. And I think if there was one who was going to take a step forward back into this decent company, hopefully it is Does He Know. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see the first and second in the market, Hitman and Eldorado Allen, just pull 10 lengths clear of the rest, because they may just be in that. They may be the Rotherham, let's call them, of horse racing. They may just be in between Championship and League One their whole life. But no, it should be a good race.
Describing horses as Rotherham, that's a new one to me. Right, I actually like one in here. I'm going to have a bet, and it'll be one of those each way bets to nothing that I like to do. And it's Fanny on Destravat 5-1. Another horse who I was a massive fan of, especially a couple of years ago. But this horse here was in that Coral Gold Cup, actually ran better than I thought. I went back and watched this, and had an absolute torrid start. He was actually given a pretty unfair start, if you ask me. He was at about 5 lengths off the back of them as they went off. Ended up finishing 7th, so he was about midfield that day, and that was a surprising performance, because I thought this horse would be pulled up after the way he started and just struggled to get back into the race. But since then, ran a good third at Wetherby in a decent enough race. But Charlie Deutsch is probably likely to be taking the ride up here again for Venetia, and seeing Charlie back on board is a massive positive for me. Seems to like flat tracks, so I wouldn't say Newbury is a massive issue for this horse at all. I think if this horse gets into a nice rhythm, I know he has the talent. He's a small little horse, but he can ping his fences. And I think 5-1 could be a fair each way bet to nothing in the Betfair Denman Chase. So yeah, I'll be with Fanny on Destravat. Jack won't be having a selection, but if you had to point to one, it'd be Does He Know for the Kim Bailey yard. Let's go on to the 3 o'clock then. Another Grade 2 event. It's the 2 mile Betfair Exchange Game Spirit Chase and Greenatine. I've just seen now. I mean, I opened it up earlier and he's 4-7. He's now 4-9 here. It's a very short. John Bon, according to this, he's entered, but he's not. It says 11-4. Fernando Sivola is 7-1. Elixir de Nuts 8-1. Melistic is 8-1, and we're looking at much bigger prices, the rest of them in here. I may not have the updated entries here, but Greenatine's the one to beat, Jack. Quite simple as that. He probably is going to go and win this, second to Edwardstone, the Tingle Creek. Is it that simple?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if Hitman and Eldorado Allen are your Rotherhams of the horse racing world, I'd say Grenatine's probably your Burnleys, isn't he? Going back and forth between these top grade 1s and grade 2s like this. Yeah, this is definitely his level, and yeah, he's most likely going to win.
Yeah, no, simple as that. Greenatine is definitely the one to beat in here. I don't want to be taking him on, but I won't be having a bet on him nonetheless. Let's move on to a race where we should have a longer discussion, which is the 3:35, the big highlight of the week, and the 2 mile Betfair Hurdle handicap Class 1 event, and Filey Bay is 7-2 favourite. How short is this? Haka de Place and Raboa 8-1, Iker Allen and Monviel 10-1, 12-1 about No Ordinary Joe. Teddy Blue, who seemed to take part of the hurdle with him in his last run, at 14-1 and 16-1, and bigger the rest in here. I've got a couple in here, Jack. I know you may have a couple as well. I will let you begin. Who do you like?
Yeah, so I mean, kind of just going through Filey Bay. I mean, of course he's going to be 7-2 when he's trained by Emmett Mullins, but I mean, how he can be 7-2 after, when you watch the replay back of Wincanton, you could not see a thing. It was so foggy that day, and I mean, I actually fancied Filey Bay for the Liffey handicap hurdle at the Dublin Racing Festival, but they chose instead to come here. He's obviously well handicapped. Look, let's not get it wrong, but he's 7-2. Haka de Place, I think, is completely the wrong price. I think he should be a few points bigger. He did win at Cheltenham, getting the better of Mai Tai last time out, but he clearly wants softer ground. He was absolutely dismantled by Highway 102 on really rattling fast ground at Ascot last time out. So I think 8-1 is probably a little bit too short there. Rubo's really interesting. He's going to be my first selection, in fact, for Paul Nicholls and Harry Cobden yard. It'll be interesting to see how Rare Edition gets on with filming at the time just before Rare Edition's about to run. So I think that'll be a massive determining factor to whether he goes off maybe 9-2, or whether he goes off 10-12-1. I think obviously, as Novices have a great record in this, I think he's probably well handicapped off 130. He jumped a lot better than Rare Edition did, but didn't quite see out the race as well as Rare Edition did. But I think he'll probably be able to get further as well in time. Ikari Alem finished third last time out, but I think he's got a lot to do off 146, carrying 11 stone 12. Monvial, gorgeous looking grey, absolutely beautiful horse. Won last time out, needs to touch up on his jumping, I think. But anyway, nonetheless, my second selection is going to be for Chris Gordon. We've both actually spoken about this beforehand, and it's Highway 102. I'll let you talk about Chris Gordon's record in this race, but looking at Highway 102, he was third in the Christmas Hurdle last time out, albeit a distant third. Of course, Glory and Fortune was second in the Christmas Hurdle last year before going to win this off the exact same mark. But I mean, he absolutely dismantled Hacker de Placis on quick ground at Ascot last time out. The time was rattling fast because the ground was it was so quick. And I mean, the ground at Newbury on Saturday is also going to be really quick. I know it's good at the moment, but I don't think they're allowed to water because of licensing. It's going to be absolutely rattling fast. He's very versatile with regards to ground. He was second in the Lanzarote, and I think of a mark of 143, he's still got a few pounds in hand there, and I do think he's a very, very consistent sort, and he's a big price at 22-1. So I think if he does place, I think that is going to be the selection here. I think he's got a massive chance, to be honest. So I'm going to take Highway 102 as my first selection, and Rubo as my second selection.
Highway 102 and Rubo for Jack. Yeah, look, Highway 102. I'm a big fan of the Chris Gordon yard and this race in general. I like both the horse in here, Orc and Risk as well. But I'll go on from Highway 102 there. And the trainer himself currently at 42% strike rate in the 14 days in flying form. And he usually is at this time of the year. He tends to hit form around this time of the year. And look, Chris Gordon always seems to like to send one to this race, and they always seem to run well, and it's mad that bookmakers don't clock onto the fact they're always fairly big prices. Let's go back to 2018. Remy Luck finished 5th at 33-1. In 2019 he didn't have a runner, but 2020 Remy Luck ran again, finishing 3rd at 66-1. He then had Annual Invictus finish 4th at 10-1 in 2021, and then last year had Lord Baddesley finish 4th at 66-1. So if you're playing with most bookmakers, I'm sure they'll be offering sort of 4 or 5 places no matter what this weekend on this race. You're going to be getting a decent each way payout, and his horses here, what are they, 22-1 and 18-1? They're fairly nice prices for your each way plays, and I'll be playing both of them each way. But I just think, like Jack said, Hacker de Place has to be the wrong price. Like, there is no way that this horse should be more than half the price of Highway 102. It was an impressive display in that Bateau London Handicap Hurdle for sure. And like Jack said, like, he finished 3rd in that Christmas Hurdle. I thought he was running a really good race. I mean, he was smashed by Constitution Hill, but who hasn't been smashed by Constitution Hill this season? Epatante was only just over 6 lengths ahead of him that day, but from the front he ran a really good race. He actually caught the eye massively as they turned in. I thought he might actually run into, like, hold on for second here, and Constitution Hill might take it, but obviously just taken over by Epatante. But again, that's not bad form at all, and the mark, like Jack said, could be unbelievable for this horse, and the ground's going to suit down to a T, I'd imagine. So Highway 102, completely the wrong price, 22-1. And Orc and Risk, a quick one about him. This horse has been having a go at novice chasing, finishing behind Boot Hill the last day. Again, not bad form here, but let's go back to his hurdling days from last season, novice hurdling days. Beat Shall We Have One More for the Gary Moore yard. Unfortunately, that horse passed away at the Cheltenham Festival, but he was a really, really smart horse. Beat that horse there. And also finished 4th at Aintree in a Grade 1, finishing behind some decent horses, including John Ball and El Fabiolo. I know he was well behind that day, but he has some good form over hurdles, and he's off a really nice mark as well. Like I say, Chris Gordon loves this race. I've got a feeling both of them could be running into the placing. So, yeah, Highway 102 at 22-1 for myself and Jack. I'll be with Orc and Risk at 18-1, and Rubo at around 8-1 for Jack.
I can just feel it, Sam. We've got 3 selections there. We're going to have the TriCast at about 1,000-1. I can feel something weird's going to happen with this Betfair Hurdle. We had the winner last year with Glory and Fortune. Something strange is in the air.
I know, we seem to like the Betfair Hurdle. I'm gonna have to put the TriCast on with these horses. I'm just gonna have to do it just in case, because now you've mentioned that, if I don't pick up some of that 1,000-1 or whatever, I'm gonna be livid. Right, we'll get into other selections. It'll be interesting to know who our naps are at the end of the video, but let's get other selections before we get in to the naps. Go on, Jack, you start before I head out to Dubai.
I've got one at Uttoxeter and one at Warwick. I'll fire the one off at Warwick straight away. It's in the first race at Warwick. Stolen Silver's running in a handicap of 12 stone. But if the Stolen Silver, who we saw last time out at Cheltenham when second in the big handicap to Midnight River, shows up, I think he's just going to take all the beating. He'll probably go off around 5-4s. I know he's 6-4 at the moment. I think that's an okay price. It's not a luxurious price, but I do think he's probably just going to go and win. And the other one is at Uttoxeter. Let me find the exact time of the race. It's a Mares Novices handicap chase, and Marta de Mott is running after finishing second at Cheltenham to Dame de Soie, and I think she's got to be well handicapped. They pulled very well clear of third. It was in a good time as well. This is an easier race, and I'll be very surprised if Marta de Mott doesn't go in the 2:10 at Uttoxeter on Saturday.
There we go, a couple from Jack there. You'll see them on screen at the end of this video. I'll head out to Meydan. I've got a good record out there. Jack tweeted out the profit and loss on this month gone, and I can tell you now that most of my winning selections have come from Meydan at decent prices. There's two that I like out there. In the 235, we've got a dirt handicap. I'd give Positive Impact a great chance at 9-1 for Simon and Ed Crisford here. James Doyle taking the ride. He ran in a good turf handicapper here a few weeks back, and there were some really good horses in front of him that day. It was a really strong race. He switches to the dirt now, which both of my selections actually are doing on the card on Friday. He won a Class 2 handicap at Kempston on the all-weather surface at the back end of last year, beating the likes of Imperial Sand, Notre Belle Bet, Spin Around, who I know Jack was a big fan of last flat season, but he beat some fair horses, and like I say, I think he could be a good horse being switched to the dirt. It's a bit of a chance when you take these horses moving on, but if they've had that form on the all-weather, it's worth giving them this chance. I think he's going to sit with my main danger, which is Desert Angel, who Miguel Barcelona rides, and we know what he can be like on the dirt. I think they'll be sat in midfield, maybe towards the rear. I'd be worried if Barcelona tried to be positive on Desert Angel and try to kick on the front end, but looking at Desert Angel's form, he just never has a quick getaway, and I'd imagine he'd have to be held up. But James Doyle off a decent pace will swoop, and I hope he can take this handicap for a yard who had a really nice win a lot weekend with Algier. He looks really exciting, doesn't he, on the dirt? He looks like a completely different horse, and I'm sure he's going to have Dubai World Cup aspirations in his mind. The 345 at Meydan, this one will be quick, but it's a horse called White Wolf I've backed before. Actually picked off by 66-1 winner that Jack actually texted me after the race and said that was unlucky, mate. But yeah, look, this horse here again switching to the dirt. We see the return of Hypothetical in this race. We should probably talk about him quick. He carries top weight, rightfully so. He's a Group 1 winner out in Meydan last season, and he was a runner in the Dubai World Cup. Top weight off a long layoff though, that would be a some performance here. But White Wolf, like I say, I've put him up already this season. He's lightly raced, only the 4 runs. His only 2 wins have come on the all-weather, which makes this switch to the dirt even more interesting after his last turf run. He gets £13 off Hypothetical. I do believe White Wolf could end up being a big player on the dirt in Meydan coming towards the end of the carnival. Just think this is his bag. So 5-1, a more than fair each way price. So yeah, White Wolf at 5-1, and the other horse there is Positive Impact at 9-1. So I'll be playing those both each way. Right, time for the naps of the weekend. Let's see how this goes then. Jack, who's the best bet's going to be for you this weekend?
I feel like it has to be Highway 102 in the Betfair Hurdle, 22-1. I think it's an absolutely ludicrous price. I think as he's got a little bit older, I know he's 8 now. I don't want to say this, but 8-year-olds, I think, are 0 from 45 in the Betfair Hurdle. But hey, I mean, Glory and Fortune was a 7-year-old, and 7-year-olds don't have a great record. So records are there to be broken. I think he shouldn't be 22-1. As he's got older, I think he's appreciated better ground. And Highway 102 at 22-1 is going to be the nap of the week.
I think the best thing about this is that when West Balboa won the Lanzarote, I text Jack at the start of the week asking him what celebration he's going to do on Saturday when this horse wins, and it did make him chuckle. And what Jack's now done is he sent me the same text back, but just changed it to Highway 102. And the best thing was I texted him straight back of all the screenshots of all the form lines that I wanted to kind of tie into this episode, and said this is my nap as well. So I can't deny that Jack and I, heading into this preview, without knowing, we were both going to be napping up Highway 102, and 22-1 is a massive price. There is no doubt about that. So there you go. The selections are all on screen now. You can see our nap there, and also our other selections elsewhere from the other TV races that we've already covered. And that's it for this weekend preview. We're probably going to be back at the start of next week with our final anti-post episode, actually, before we actually get into our main Cheltenham preview. Tickets are still available for that Pagham Cricket Club in West Sussex on Friday the 3rd of March. You'll be able to arrive from 7pm. We're going to start the event at around 8pm. Niall Houlihan, Grade 1 winning jockey now, will be joining us, along with retired Matty Batchelor. I'm sure he's going to have plenty of jokes on the evening. A really fun evening. We've got a bar there. We'll have plenty of giveaways, and we'll be talking all things Cheltenham, which will be fantastic. So do give Jack and I a message if you are interested in attending. But we will be back, like I say, at the start of next week with our final anti-post series episode. Enjoy the weekend, gamble responsibly, and we'll see you very soon.